maybe our mothers couldn't. Even if they wanted to strike out on their own in their 50s, they did not have that option
Yeah.
most of the time.
Strangers with Kittens. Gen X stories from the least parented generation. Welcome to Strangers with Kittens. I'm Eileen Kelly, and I'm so glad you're here because today I'm going to be talking to a fabulous and fascinating woman. You may know her from the Santella crime thriller series, the Queen of Spades series, the Gabriella Giovanni series. She's a USA Today best-selling author. Please welcome my guest, Kristi Belcamino. Hello.
Hello there.
It's so
Nice
good to
to
see
meet you.
you.
Thanks.
um, there was a little, I'm just going to let everyone know that there was a little blip on my side about setting up and replying. I was sort of like in between flights and texting. And so I text Kristi to be like, hey, did I not confirm? No, I didn't. But Kristi's just a camera ready and ready to go. So that's Kristi Belcamino for you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I wish I was busy on flights and fun things like that right now.
uh, it was just kid stuff. I know, when the kids come in and sort of swallow you up with all their stuff, which is kind of awesome and also overwhelming.
No, it's exactly what happens. I always think I'm going to get work done when my daughter from college is visiting, and it's like, I'm fooling myself. Of course I'm not
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah. I was actually feeling really anxious the other day because she came home and it was just like a whirlwind, and she was so keyed up because she just graduated, and then we were checking out some law schools, and it's all good. But then I left wet in the washing machine for like 2 days, and I kept losing my possessions, and I was like, all right, I have got to get it together.
I know that exactly happens to me, and I think I've just accepted it. It's like, okay, it's going to be a little chaotic, and it's worth
Yes.
it. Spend time with your kid, and
Hmm.
then it's kind of quiet and organized again. But
Yeah.
yeah,
You have to kind of
Yep.
give over to it and just sort of like let the tide take you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And at one point, they won't be coming home as much, and so I got to take advantage of
Yes.
it now, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell myself.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that's
I have to
true.
tell you, I was thinking of you yesterday because I was talking to a friend who is working on a book that is sort of like a diary of this love affair that she had. And she's in her mid 50s and recently divorced and had this really torrid, intoxicating love affair with a younger guy that sort of left her head spinning. And they ended up parting ways because they didn't want the same things, but she's forever changed from it. And I just couldn't
Oh,
help but think of you.
yeah, I like that you associate dating women in their 50s dating younger guys with me like that. Keep
Well, you're
thinking
both
that.
sexy and fabulous, so how
I'm
could I
I'm
not?
I'm determined. Like, I will give an older guy a chance, but I'm not looking for a torrid love affair. I'm looking for fun. So,
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit afraid though, because I don't want to end up like that. Maybe change for the better, yes, but I don't want to end up like heartbroken or sad or anything. I just want to have fun. I just want,
Yeah.
like most women our age, I want peace. I want peace and
Yes.
freedom, and
Yes.
I will not give those up for anything. No
Yeah.
man, no nothing. I
Yeah.
have like,
Once you've learned the hard way, you're not
yeah.
going to let it happen again.
Yeah, and it's not, I guess for me, it's not even learning the hard way. It's just I didn't even know what I was missing. I had no idea, until I got divorced, and that wasn't planned. But then I realized, wow, there's so much freedom. Sorry, my dogs are loud. They're playing right now. There's so
Listen,
much
that's
freedom and peace. And
yeah,
I
my
can't.
dogs are here too, just so you know,
Okay.
and they're
Yeah.
they're all part of our live studio audience, so it's
Okay,
all
good.
good. I
Good.
see the tail
Okay, good.
wagging in the background.
Yeah. Hopefully they won't bark, but yeah, they
That's
might.
okay.
They might. So no, I get that. And I definitely want to read her book. That sounds really cool. I definitely think that it's something that a lot of women our age are dealing with is, okay, if have been single, your whole life, or if you're suddenly single, it's like, okay, now what? The kids are raised for the most part.
Right.
We're always going to be moms and have crises. And I
Yeah.
learned that over the past year. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole different ball game now. So
Yeah, a whole different ballgame, but you have so much more life experience and have done so much more work. And I think the world has changed for the better in a lot of ways from when we were young women. And so I think so many more experiences have been shared because of the internet, because of social media, um, that I think that women our age are kind of waking up to possibilities they didn't even know were out there.
right. We're in a really privileged position. I think we have to remember that in a way, because our mothers probably did not have these opportunities, and our grandmothers and great grandmothers, although my great grandma, like, she was a little wild, but it is a whole different world. And the thing is we are able to do things independently, and maybe our mothers couldn't. Even if they wanted to strike out on their own in their 50s, they did not have that option
Yeah.
most of the time. So, and I mean, being financially independent as women is really the thing that's making it possible, I think, that we aren't relying on a man's income, and that gives us so much power and freedom. And as far as dating as well, it's like we don't need to look for somebody to support us, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
truly. I mean, it was a lifeline for women and by design, right? I mean, that was a whole that was a structure that was constructed to keep women down,
yep,
to keep them dependent, to keep them
yep,
trapped. I mean,
yeah.
women couldn't even get credit cards. So until like, I don't know, the 70s or maybe early 80s even.
That's
And
crazy.
I know. I mean, like in our lifetime.
In our lifetime, and the ability to, and I don't have all the statistics on it, but I just know things that we take for granted, being able to buy a house, being able to have a credit card, all of those things are it feels like it's always been like that, but it has not always
It
been
has
like that.
not. And, women gained rights. We know so much about civil rights,
Mhm.
but a lot of people don't know that women didn't have the rights that Black people were fighting for in the 60s till the 70s or early 80s.
Yeah, yeah, my mom was very, progressive, and so when I was growing up, I remember she would do cable TV shows or go speak on comparable worth. And she was involved in the National Women's Political Caucus and a bunch of feminist organizations like that.
So
And she
cool.
would talk about how, okay, so basically a man and woman in the same job, the woman is always paid substantially less. And I am kind of shocked to realize that that really hasn't changed in many careers. Maybe there's been a little tiny bit of
Yeah,
growth, which I
incremental increases, but not, I mean, it should have just been an across the board, boom, that's over.
right, right, and this was, oh my gosh, what, 45 years ago or something, and she
Yeah.
was fighting for this, and I don't think it's actually been accomplished yet, I
No,
think
it hasn't.
there's still that inequity, which is crazy, but I do feel like privilege. It's interesting, when I got divorced, I find that people kinda secretly come to me, and if they're in a bad marriage, and wanna talk to me about it, and I wanna this is why I decided to write the memoir partly. I always kinda thought it was in the back of my head, I should write about, what it's like to be suddenly single. I never planned no one ever plans on getting divorced, right?
No.
I never
No.
planned on being, like, 55 and getting divorced ever, and so I wanna say it can be really good, but I also know this is a really privileged place to be, because I can be financially independent and my children are grown. And if you aren't financially independent, because, hey, I worked at home for many years too, and you just don't have that career or that income right now, or your kids are still young, right? I talked to someone the other day, and she's not gonna leave because her kid's 14. I get that. I don't think I
Mhm.
would've, even if the opportunity came up, I think I would have fought tooth and nail to stay married until my kids were grown, because I think I just didn't want them to be away from me for a week, honestly, like every other week. I
Valid.
excited to like be there for them. So I've had people reach out to me, and the one that I remember the most that really was like, I'm going to write a book about this, or at least start becoming a public about it, is a high school friend. She's actually like a childhood friend. Grew up in a small town in Northern California, and we knew everybody. We knew everybody from preschool on up. And so I knew her high school boyfriend. I'd known them both since they were little kids, and we were all little kids. And so they got married, and I thought they had this wonderful relationship. They're the cutest couple. And she reached out to me, and she's going through cancer treatment. And she said, "Oh, I'm not doing very good. Don't know if I want to stay married. Um, my grown kids are the ones driving me to chemo, and he's out there acting like he's single, and he just turned into a dick as he got
Mm,
older." She's like, "He's horrible." And she said, "But I'm afraid to be single. I'm afraid of what that's gonna look like. I'm afraid to be
mhm,
alone." And so I almost felt like, oh my God, this is my job in life. I need to show that you take the leap. If you're in a toxic relationship, take the leap. It's so much better. I promise you, there's nothing worse. I mean, being alone, yeah, I get lonely. I'm alone, but it's a million times better than being in a toxic relationship. And so I wrote back, I'm like, girl, let me show you how good it can be. Like, just follow me. I will show you how good it can be. And then it's funny because people do reach out to me all the time, like privately. Even someone I met for the first time the other day and had lunch with, she was telling me, well, yeah, I just want that peace and freedom, but my kid's young and I don't think I can do it. And then had another longtime friend just kind of took me aside and just I think that they think I'm a safe space to vent this, right? And I
right,
am. And I am a safe space because I also will turn around and say, I will not judge you if after saying all this, you stay in that marriage. I will not. Like you do whatever it is. I'm just saying there are options, but I will support you if you stay in that marriage no matter what. But yeah, this one friend said basically we have like divorce rooms. I don't know what it's called, divorce beds or whatever, where you're married but
mm,
you sleep in different bedrooms. And so it's really interesting how people want to talk about this. And another friend, her kids both graduated from college, and she went through a period like, do I want to be with this guy? We're alone now. Do I want to spend all my time with him? And ultimately, she decided yes. She did
mm,
decide, but there was a year where she was like, I don't know. How's it going to be
right.
with you? What's it going to be
Yeah,
like?
because after so many years of being focused on the kids, it's suddenly like, who is this stranger? Yeah,
Exactly. Do we have anything in common? Do we even
right.
like her? You
Yeah, it's
know?
kind of like meeting for the first time again.
Yeah, and some marriages survive that and move
Right.
on, and especially long-term marriages, they've been through the ups and downs and reinvented their relationship and all that. But yeah, that's kind of why I decided to write about it because I don't think my experience is unique, but I think it's something where I can write a book and people can read it and say, "Yep, that's me. I see that." And I think it's gonna be really hard. I mean, you've written a memoir. I think it's gonna draw blood for me to write this. And
Well,
to
I feel so privileged to have read your proposal. And I just think your writing is so intimate and accessible and relatable
Thank you.
that I can't believe this is your first memoir, honestly. I
Oh,
think that you just go there just immediately, and it feels like having a very deep conversation with a best friend.
oh, that is the best compliment. Thank you so much. Now, can I sustain that an entire book? I don't know.
I believe you can.
Oh my God, it's gonna be a challenge, that's for sure. But I want to do it. I feel like it's a passion project. It's something
Yeah,
that I feel like it's time to do something like that. So I've been, as you know, I've been a crime fiction writer forever, and so
right.
also like a really nice change from writing about dark mysteries
Mhm.
and murder and assassins and all that. And that was really fun for a while, but it's a definite shift, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to take on I have a lot of readers. I don't think there's gonna be, like, this many who are gonna make the leap from reading my mysteries to reading this. but there'll be some, there'll be some. So, but it's hard to, I'm rebranding myself basically. And that's a little
I
bit weird.
don't know. I think you might be underestimating your audience. I think that people really want to know the person from whose imagination these stories and these characters come. I just think, I mean, I love memoir. I almost have to force myself to read other things because knowing the real story, the true story, is so compelling.
It is, and it's funny because obviously when you start writing a new genre, like for me, I had to start reading mysteries when I first started writing mysteries, and now I'm devouring memoir, and same thing, I have fallen in love with it. It's
Yeah.
so great to read, and that's funny you say that because right now I've set aside the actual starting to write the memoir for like a month or 2 because I am under contract for a domestic suspense book. And so I'm trying to read domestic suspense because that's kind of a new genre for me and I want to get the rhythm and the feel for it. And
Wait, could you
it's
tell me
hard.
what that is?
Yeah, yeah. So
Domestic suspense?
domestic suspense would be like the really popular author Frida McFadden is really she's probably the most popular one, but what it is the way I would summarize it is it's a average person living their life, just going about ordinary, not a detective or anything special, not an assassin. And then something happens to them where they are thrown into this type of a murder or mystery or something like that. So
Okay.
it's just this person living their life. And then the creepy neighbor moves in and you find out they have bodies or, things like that.
Right, right, right. Okay.
It's really fun. It's really fun to write because it's a page turner. It's not literary fiction, which I've never written and I never will try to write like a literary mystery. It's more like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? I'm so excited. This is
Yeah.
so it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun writing it, and I have 3 books that I'm writing for that. So, anyway, I have one that's gonna be due pretty quick, so I'm taking a break from reading memoir to kinda devour the domestic suspense books and make sure I'm getting it right, getting the tropes right. People who are writers, I don't know if you're like this, Eileen, but people who are writers and say, "I can't read books in what I'm writing because I'm worried it'll get into my writing," and I think,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, let it come. If I can read something and it gets into my writing,
Yeah.
please." You know what I
I
mean? Like,
think I felt
okay.
that way. I was afraid that I would somehow subconsciously plagiarize or
Yeah.
something.
You
But
won't.
really, you just digest everything and then metabolize it, and then it just enriches whatever comes out of you.
Right, because if we could, like, and we wouldn't and plagiarizing would be like, obviously
Right. I word for word, obviously,
word
like,
for
yeah.
word, but if we could actually channel that, if I could channel
Yeah.
that, I'd be like number 1 New York Times
Hell yeah.
bestseller. I would channel that all day long, like, bring it on. So I
Exactly.
just
If
so I
only.
yeah, so I believe in immersing myself in that, and I'll watch films and series and all that. What my whole point is I'm so excited to get back to this stack of unread memoirs that I have waiting for me, and it's funny how many are a little bit like mine that are people who are Americans living in Paris. So that's like,
Mm.
oh, wow, I guess mine wasn't a very I'm not living in Paris, but not a very unique angle. Clearly.
Uh,
And
there might
fun.
be a few, but I still think among the billion plus people in the world, I think it's pretty unique.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good, thanks.
And going back to the domestic suspense, I feel like there are quite a few British series like that. If you're looking to just immerse yourself more, I feel like
Yeah,
there are quite a few in like the BritBox and Masterpiece Theater
yeah.
area that may fall into that category.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because the publisher who offered me the contract is a UK publisher.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's
Yeah, I
like
think
that
they're I
totally
think they're
flat,
really fond
that
of
trend.
that genre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so but it's fun because I usually write these really dark vigilante women who kill people, and so this is just it's a different genre, and I needed a different genre. I've written so many books in that other area that I don't even have any ideas. I'm like, "I'm done. I don't think I
Right.
can write I can't come up with another idea to save my life." So,
Yeah. And be in the future, so, after you've
Yeah, brain
written a bunch of other things, maybe, but
would be, yeah, yeah.
onward and upward.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Um, so going back to your memoir and going back to living in Paris, what has it been like for you re-entering the dating scene?
Wow, you know, I was really clueless when I got on a dating app, like, ridiculously clueless. I think of this. So I had been with the same person for 31 years. So that means the last time I dated was 1990. So,
I hear
so
you.
and there were dating apps, and I was in college, so I went to parties. It was super easy to meet people, and then I
Right.
discovered, oh, you get to meet people on dating apps, and it's the way it's done. Like it is the way it's done. And so I was just so clueless that I had no game. Let's just say I had no game. I was just like, "Hi, you're like, great." I think guys are just like, "Oh my god, like back off, lady. You're so." Because I had a crush on a guy, and I just I didn't play hard to get, and I think the guys are just like, "We cannot handle this."
Right. You're just too much of an open book, right?
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, this is so fun. I like you." So I did learn some game, but I also had some wild experiences. There's a Facebook group that I can't mention the name of, but that's in every city, and it's
Okay.
basically a secret group where you can put a guy's picture on there and say, "Hey, what's the dirt on this guy?"
Yeah.
And most of the time he's like a dog and he has a girlfriend. Like it's a great filter. So I used it to find out if a guy was safe, I guess. People are like,
Right.
"Oh,
Yeah. I was just
guy."
going to say, I've heard of these groups and guys get angry and troll them or feel like it's not fair. And it's like, we are literally talking about life and death.
Exactly, exactly, and that's one of the things that happened to me. I was very good at vetting everyone I met on a dating app through that site, but this strange thing happened. I went to the little grocery store in my neighborhood on a Saturday morning, and I walked past this guy, and he smiled at me, and I smiled back, and then he kinda chased me down, and he's like, "Hey, I don't I'm sorry to bother you, but are you single?" And anyway, we struck up a conversation. He's like, "I just live over here in this building." And he gave the name. And I'm like, "Oh, we're neighbors. I just live in this building." And I gave the name. And he said, "Can I get your number? I'd love to take you out to dinner." And I said, "Sure." So knew where I lived, told him
Mm.
then. And I gave him my number, and he immediately was coming on really strong, like, "Let's get together tonight. Let's get together tonight." And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." And then I said, maybe because I'd learned like to not be that easy anymore, like, gotta play a
Yeah.
little hard.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
2 or 3 nights later, and so he's like, "Great. What I'll do is I'll come to the ground floor of your building, and then we'll just walk down to some restaurants and have dinner. We can decide as we're going." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds lovely, right?" So then my daughter she was in college, but she was staying with me for a little while. And I told her, "I'm going on this date. I got asked out in real life, in the wild. Like, it's
Right.
crazy. It happens." So she's like, "Oh, did you run him by your group?" And I said, "Well, no, because I don't have the picture to post from the dating app, and I I don't really have any information on him." And I met him in person. She's like, "Mom, why aren't you going to do that?" And I'm like, "You're right." And so now there's an hour before we're supposed to meet.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
well, I said, "Well, I'll just look. I'll just search his first name on this page." And I search. It was horrible. He actually recruits like 16-year-olds for sex trafficking. He has
Oh
a
my God.
Well, crazy. He has a twin, and they take women out on their boat and drug them. And so all these women are just like, these
How
guys
is he
have
not in jail?
right. Well, that's the problem is there
Yeah.
are here that should be on that site that should be in jail and who do have criminal records, and he probably did. I don't remember, but all this stuff, and I just remember just the blood draining from my face, like,
God.
He knows where me and my daughter, who is like, I think she was
Oh, man.
live. He knows where I live. And people were saying, do not go on a date with him because I commented there. People are messaging me privately. They're like, once he gets in with you, he will not back off.
Oh
And
my
then people
god.
he would do things like in a neighborhood by here, he would say, "Let me buy you a Gucci bag," and stuff, and, like, get people to engage with him that way. So I was panicking, I don't know what to do, and they're like, "Don't make him angry, don't make him angry, he's dangerous, he will not leave you alone, he will track you down." And so at the last minute, I'm just like, "Okay," and he texted oh, no, I texted him, like, 10 minutes before he's supposed to show up, and I said and I just am like, "I have to play nice, like, I can't piss this guy off," and
Right.
I said, "I am so sorry. I just realized I'm not ready to date. I'm just not over my divorce yet." I just bullshitted. Like, "You seem like a really great guy, but I can't." And he didn't respond. And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And then my phone rings and I don't pick it up. And then my phone rings again. And my daughter and I are screaming. Like, it's
Oh
like
my
a whole
god. It really is like a horror movie.
downstairs and we're trying. So we snuck down to this one place where you can kind of look like onto the sidewalk in front of our
Right.
building. We're like, "Oh my God, where is he?" And he called like 5 times, Eileen, after my
That is
text.
not normal behavior.
No. And so finally he texted and he was trying to talk me into, "Come on, okay,
Of
that's fine. We can
course.
be friends. We can just get a coffee,
Ah,
just friends." And I just kept saying, "Oh no, I'm sorry, no, I can't." And try not to piss him off, right? So
right.
that was not a fun one.
Yikes, the
But
one and only time you meet someone in real life and they turn out to
well,
be
it was the second time I met
oh,
someone in
okay.
real life, but the first one was the first date I went on and like well, since I had been divorced. So I went out with some girlfriends and we were at this really cool little Parisian cafe and this guy came in, he sat at the bar and he ordered dinner by himself. And I was like, "Hey, look at that guy, you guys. He's so cute. Look at him." And they're like, "Oh, he is really cute." And he walked out. We're like, "He lives in the neighborhood." And this was over in my friend's neighborhood, which is probably like on all the way across town.
Okay.
So the next day I went to a coffee shop in my neighborhood and I was packing up my stuff to leave after riding for a little bit. And I start to walk out, and this guy walks in. I was like, "Oh, that's the guy. Oh my God, that's the guy from last night." And so we were kind of like this. And I said, "Hey, I saw you last night at this restaurant." And I said, "My friends and I were saying, oh, we should invite you to come sit with us." And you were all by yourself. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." He goes, do you want to go out sometime? Can I get your number?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was just like, this is crazy. So I gave
Yeah,
him my
like feels meant to be.
that was meant to be. So I gave him my number and then he texted me right away, like, "Yeah, when would you like to go out to dinner? I'll take you out." And so then we went out to dinner and I had not felt attractive for years, being in a marriage that wasn't that great. And I went out to dinner with this guy and he was like, I don't know, he was like 39. He was pretty young. And and he just sat there and he was just like, "You are so beautiful. You are like Monica Bellucci beautiful." And I was just like, "What? Like, what? Who?" And
Oh.
"You were so amazing. And wow, this is so great. I'm so happy we met." It was too much. It was like me when I
Mm.
started dating, like fawning. And it was like, well, let's just say it killed all attraction. Now I get where those guys that I, liked or had crushes on were like, "Yeah, we're not going out because you're too over the top." That's how I felt. It killed all my attraction for him. And he seemed very young. I
Mm.
realized he just was too young for me and I didn't have a spark with him. So I didn't see him again. But talk about the perfect first date after not dating for 31 years.
Yeah.
It was so sweet.
Oh, I
And
love
it was
that.
such an ego boost. And it was in real life. Like I met someone in real life. So it's happened twice. One good one. One
And
that
one
goes
like
a nightmare.
yeah, one a really good story and one on the complete other end of the spectrum. Pretty much
Other
worse than you can imagine.
yeah, I mean the only thing worse is if I would have gone down and met him.
Right.
Yes.
Thank goodness your daughter was home and you could
Put some
bounce it
sense
off of
into
her,
me.
you know?
Yeah. I didn't even think
Because it
about it because
really
I
all
thought
does sound so fine.
that's how we did it in the 80s. Hello?
Right.
And they
Which is
weren't
which
like
is why the crime
predators.
rates were so high.
I got away with that a lot in the 80s without being preyed on. So,
My
so
God. In meantime, now I feel like I gotta find out where this guy is and get him arrested somehow. Jeez. The fact
Yeah.
that you have to have a network to avoid being drugged and trafficked is like, yeah, or he could just be in jail. How about that?
Yep. Yep, exactly. And there's so many I could talk for days about the stories like that. My ex-friend, because Kill the Messenger, that's me, we found her fiancé on the site, and when we told her, that was kind of the end of our friendship
Oh,
because
wow.
he was on there for taking lots and lots of money from women,
Oh, wow.
over a period of years when he was engaged to her, and I guess they're still together, and
Wow.
yeah, and he has a criminal record, and he's constantly doing crimes, and when he found out that I had told her he was on there, he threatened me, so that's another fun.
Oh
Yeah, he
my
threatened me.
God.
So, and my response
And she's
was
still with him.
she's still with him. My response was, "I don't think your probation officer is gonna wanna hear what I have to tell him if you're gonna threaten me again." So
Good for you.
he
And that was the end of that.
was the end of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most bullies, when you push back, do stop. Most, but you definitely have to go with your gut.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
so after all that, let's just say I'm not dating.
Oh, man.
I know too much now.
I don't know. I have to think that you can still meet decent people in real life, and I don't know. I feel like my algorithm is is geared toward, I think, from, like, looking at so many Epstein file things and stuff, I feel like my algorithm is so dark now
Mhm. Yep.
that I just have to reject some of it because 'cause I'm like, "This cannot be the whole world. This can't be the whole world," you know? I know that I know decent men. I
Yes.
know that I've known horrible men too, but I know that there are decent men.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing them in my feed in any way, shape, or form.
Right, and,
Yeah.
the same thing happened, I'm a newspaper reporter, and I've most of my career, I've covered crime, and I found that when I was doing it really hardcore, and it was my entire life, my perception was really skewed because all I knew was that bad things happen all the time. And
All the
it's like,
time.
okay, oh, sure, the odds aren't going to, people are like, that's not going to happen. I'm like, but I know one time it did. I
Mhm.
wrote a story about the time it did. And so I did have, that was like my algorithm, my feed was
Right.
all bad things happening all the time. And I didn't have a healthy perspective on it,
Right.
that, like you
How
said.
could
So
you?
thing. Yeah, yeah, and I found the cops that I would deal with as sources, they would go one way or the other. They would either be super paranoid or they did not care one way or the other. It was extremes.
Yeah. Yeah, but were any of them female?
I didn't have any female sources, but that was partly because there just weren't that many female officers.
Officers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially sadly, in the positions of power that there are now.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave Chappelle has a great joke about performing, doing a show and getting paid in I think I want to say that it was kind of like a mob party,
Ooh.
and he performed and they paid him, and it was at least $10,000, and it was in cash, and he had it in his backpack, and he was on the subway going home late at night after the show with all this money in his backpack, and he was so scared, and he had this epiphany. This is what a woman feels like all the time.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was like, wow, for a man to, like, even think that way, it was so refreshing, you know?
Definitely refreshing, like, yeah, that yeah, for him to even consider that and for his
Right.
mind to go there. Wow,
Yeah.
no, I love that, I love that, yeah. They just don't get it, and like you were saying about that page, it's like the guys get mad, and it's like, if you're a good guy, you understand
You have
why
nothing
women
to
have to do all this, like, we
Yeah,
have
and
to
you
do
if
all.
you're a good guy, you have nothing to worry about. So, the only people
Exactly.
that are crying foul are people that are doing bad things.
Right, right. Even if it's on the level of, there's a lot of guys who weren't like criminals, but they were
Right.
just players. you know?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you don't want to be on there because if you're telling a woman that you want her for a girlfriend and that you're monogamous, of course you don't want to be on there. If you're on there, if you're telling women like, "Hey, I'm dating a bunch of people and we can have fun and I don't know, if I like you, maybe I'll be serious," then you won't have a problem being on there, will you? You
Right.
know?
If you're just
Yeah.
honest and
If you're just
straightforward, you don't need to be looking for a commitment or whatever to be a good guy. You just need to be honest.
exactly. Just because you don't want a, monogamous or long-term relationship is not the problem. It's
Exactly.
willingness to admit that. My brother, he lived in the village when he was single. I remember the weekend he moved out of New York City, we spent like the couple days before then going around so he could say goodbye to all his girlfriends. They cried. They cried like, "I love your brother. You're so great." And the thing that worked for him is that he never once lied to those women. He said, "I think you're great. You're beautiful. I love hanging out with you. You're so much fun. I'm not looking for a relationship." And so he was able to date multiple women with integrity, and like it was crazy because they all fell for him too. Like I wish he did want something, but he was honest about it.
Right.
And that
That's
can be
it.
hurtful. Like, obviously you develop feelings for someone, you're like, "I thought it was fine, but yeah, now I have feelings for you, even though we thought it wasn't gonna be." I mean, that it's risky, but at least you knew what
Right.
you were
But
getting.
it's not, yeah, you're not being duped.
You're not being duped. Exactly.
And
There is
you have the agency to say, I'm going to take a risk and be in this, or you know what, that's just not for me.
Yeah, and that's
But
where
when
I'm at
someone
with
lies to you, they take that away from you.
they take that away from you, that opportunity, and yeah, that's
Right.
where I'm at in dating is I am pretty honest, and when I have dated, it's like I don't want a relationship, I just wanna have fun, um, and there is a dating app that's, like, really kind of about that, where people can be it's called Field, where people can be really it's a little bit of a kink dating site or dating
Mm.
app, but it's where people can say, "Hey, I just want a friend with benefits." Like, I
Mhm.
and that's all I want, and here's what I like, and I might get back on that because then it's just honest. It's like, you have to have your house, I have to have mine. Maybe 2 times a week we can get together, and I do whatever I want, and you do whatever you want, but you have to be tested.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm imagining that this radically honest site will probably produce more relationships than most of the others because it's
I
so
think it
honest.
might I think it might, and also on that site, people aren't taken back when you're like, "I need to see, like, your tests, like, your recent tests, dude," like,
Right.
because they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's how it works." So, yeah, I did see something about how so many people who start out saying we're just gonna be friends with benefits do end up in a relationship, which I thought was kinda funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like that would end up producing more relationships than people that are out there saying, I want a relationship. Because then I think it makes
Wild,
people
yeah.
when you're so open and
Mhm,
honest
mhm,
and the other person is completely accepting of it, which,
mhm.
is also being honest about your anxieties and fears, right?
Yeah, sorry, there's the dogs.
Then that's okay. It's the studio audience. Um, what are their names, by the way?
Oh, Coco and Bella.
Coco and Bella.
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah.
Mine are not in with me at the moment, but they're Bear and Bootsy, and oftentimes you'll hear them bark in the background. So,
Oh, good. I'm glad dog barking is acceptable.
yes, in fact, Bootsy's barking is at the end of every episode after we have the little announcement that
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
a studio audience.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I love that. I didn't realize that was your dog.
um, but yeah, I think being so honest and having someone else accept that is so
Yeah.
attractive that I would
Yeah,
think that it might lead to, oh, I might actually want more because
right.
you're cool with me and
Yeah.
everything that I
There's no
am worried
pressure.
about, or yeah,
There's no
I don't
pressure.
need
There's
to
no
pretend
expectation.
I'm something I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, the expectation and the pressure is gone, and honestly, that's one reason I've liked dating younger men is and I think that's one reason they like dating women my age is I'm not looking to get married, I'm not looking to have children,
Mhm.
um, I'm not looking for them to provide. I just wanna get together and have fun and go out to dinner and, get intimate or whatever,
Right.
and it seems to be like a good match, I feel like, and I do like a little bit of the younger men being they seem to be more progressive than the men our age, Eileen, like, they're
That's
not
all I'm hearing.
are you hearing the same thing?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I from
Yeah.
so many friends, it's so refreshing, and I have lots of friends, including, you know who said this? Um, Tracy Ellis Ross, the
Oh, okay.
actress. She
Yeah.
said she tried to date, she's in her mid-50s, and she tried to
Mhm.
date she's like, "I wanna date Gen X men. I
Yeah.
can't find one that
Mm,
is not a misogynist," basically.
right, and
She's like, "I've
honestly,
really tried."
I bet I'm sure she has. I haven't tried, but I because here's the problem, like, I look at these guys who are divorced, and I realize that there's always the unicorn, but I think, "Huh, why didn't your wife wanna be married to you?" I think that, and then I also think that in that dating pool, a lot of those guys are looking for the younger women.
Mhm. The
They're
thing
not
about younger women, though, is they may want kids, right?
and they may
So
want kids, right?
right.
So
So you often do see men our age or a little older with, like, young kids and a
yeah,
young
right,
wife
right.
because if you're gonna date someone who's in her 30s, that's probably what she's gonna want, you know?
Exactly, exactly. And then, I told like some guys that I've dated that are young. I said you cannot be upset when women in their 30s are just like feel this pressure to get married and have kids. I said, I remember I didn't even know if I wanted kids. And all of a sudden I hit this age and I'm like, oh my God, I needed them yesterday. It was
Yeah,
so biological. It was so like, I could not do it fast enough and this pressure.
right.
And I know, how give those women a break. Like they
That's
can't, this
right.
is biologically programmed to want that.
Yep.
Um, but what I love is that a lot of the women our age who are in this boat, I see this becoming a part of the conversation is we're all just gonna buy a land somewhere and form a compound of women. I see
Yes.
this come up over
It's
and over
already
and
happening. I've seen it online. Yeah.
places, right? And so my friends and I talked about doing that and we're like, okay, we have the rules, like any animals, all the animals that you want, like
All the
free for
animals.
all, right? All the animals.
Yes.
Men can visit, like, get a pass for, like, maybe 3 days max sleepover, maybe 2, but then they gotta go. Like,
This
gotta
is
get
like it's like Catholic college girl dorms 2.0.
right? And it's gonna be so great. So
Except
but
with lots of animals.
lots of animals, as many animals as you want. There's only restrictions on men's sleepovers. That's the
I
only
love
thing.
it. It's so
Yeah,
good.
so,
It's
I
so
don't know.
good.
So I'm in for that. I'm in for that.
Golden Girls. Golden
Golden
Girls
Girl.
plus like an animal rescue what do you call it?
Yeah.
Like a refuge or whatever.
Exactly, exactly. No, it's gonna be great.
I actually saw one. This woman, I hope I'm remembering it correctly. I saw this little like story on Instagram about this woman who inherited money and decided to just build a bunch of like she bought a plot of land and
Mhm,
built some cottages and then other women can come and build cottages on the land as well. And there are rules to
mhm.
living there and they're all fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think I saw her as well. I think I saw something on that woman as well. Yeah, because she inherited the money, right? And then
Yeah.
yeah, no, I really think it's a movement. I really do. Like, I seems like so many people or so many women our age are in the same boat. The other thing, my that's like an option, but my other option is I feel like I went to Paris by myself for 2 weeks in September last year, and I hadn't been since, like, for 30 years. And as I was walking around, I thought, this is where you wanna be an older woman."
Hmm.
There there it feels like there's this release from pressure to be young and perfect and beautiful, and yet they respect and look up to and admire older women for all the things that they've experienced, for their wisdom, for their wit, for all the things that we've earned in these 50 some years, right? That make us who
Mhm.
we are. That's what is more attractive in France. So I'm like, huh, I think I could be a little old lady with my dog in Paris and be happy as could be.
Yeah,
And not
a
feel like
chic little
not
old lady.
chic little yeah, chic little old lady, and not feel like I was ever missing out, not ever feel alone, not ever
Mhm.
feel lonely, like, feel like I fit and that's how I felt, like, for 2 weeks, I felt like I fit in here. I don't speak a lick of the language, but it feel like, I think as an older woman, you just fit in there, like, you're just respected, and you can live, like, this lovely, rich life for, you know, you don't have to have a bunch of possessions or a big house or anything like that. You just live this rich life there, and so that's probably option A, and then option B would be the compound. So
Nice. I love both of those options. I swear, I was watching Emily in Paris just for her boss. I think her name might be Sophie, but
she's the one. Yes.
she's so fabulous, and
So fabulous.
she's just herself. She's
Mhm.
so naturally gorgeous and real
Yep.
and human,
Yep.
and she talks about women in the French culture, like a woman in her 40s or 50s or 60s in the French culture a few times, like throughout the episodes, and
Okay.
how, like, she just has such confidence and such, and she's so respected and kind of revered,
Weird.
for
Yeah.
her wisdom and her
I'm gonna watch
experience.
it. I'm gonna go back and give it a try. At first, I watched a couple episodes. I was like, "Oh, she's annoying," but I'll go back for her because I did see something recently. It was all these French women weighed in, and they said, "Emily, not anything French at all or Parisian. The boss, 100% a
Love
Parisian."
her.
They're like they got it right with her. They got
Yes.
it right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's worth it. And I feel like there's at least two episodes that focus mostly on her, and they're
Oh,
really
okay.
great. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it. Cue it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun.
Well, it was so much fun talking to you. I
It was
cannot
so good to
wait.
talk to you.
I can't wait. Well, I can't wait for your new book, your domestic suspense novel. But I'm especially excited about your memoir. I feel
Thank
really
you.
privileged to have read the proposal, and it's so appealing, and I can't wait to read the whole thing.
Thank you. We're gonna publish our memoirs, and then we're gonna do a big book signing somewhere really fun, me and you.
Yes, I would
Sound
love
like a plan?
that. Yes,
Okay.
sounds like such a great plan.
Okay, I love it.
Well, thanks so much for being
Thank
here.
you. It was so good to see you. I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks, I guess, for
Couple
our, couple of weeks in June.
our regular, yeah.
Yeah. All
Thanks.
right.
You too. Bye.
If you like the show, please rate, review, and share on social media. Strangers with Kittens contains nothing artificial. It's certified human. Produced by Ashley Aker, music by Chris Hagian, and recorded in front of a live audience of dogs.